Talk some Michigan recruiting because there were some really important five-star recruits on campus, and we got to start with number 1 overall, Jackson Cantwell. EJ, I read your story kind of summing up what went on this week with Jackson Cantwell. You feel like Michigan is in the top 3 with Cantwell. Where do you feel Michigan stands in relation to Ohio State? Are they trailing Ohio State? Are they ahead of Ohio State? What about it when it comes to Cantwell?
It's tough to say right now. If you made me say, I would probably put Michigan slightly ahead of Ohio State, but I don't think the order really matters at this time. I think the spring visits are great for Cantwell to get back on these campuses, to meet with the coaching staff, to see spring practices, just the inner workings of different programs that he's considering. Obviously, it's not just Michigan and Ohio State. Miami's up there,
Oh, yeah.
Georgia's up there, Oregon's up there. So, these are all major players, all blue blood programs with a lot of NIL to spend as well. And I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. It's going to come down to serious NIL negotiations that will take place during summer official visits. So whether you want to slot Michigan number 1 or number 3 or number 5 in this race, I think it's pretty irrelevant until we get into summer official visits,
Yeah.
until those discussions really start happening, especially since Cantwell is represented by Drew Rosenhaus, who's one of the top agents in America and, obviously has been a power player in the NFL for quite some time. So I do think that NIL will be the biggest factor here. Now, Michigan obviously sold a lot of other things on this visit, including its recent offensive line development, the fact that Sharrone Moore, as a head coach, is still
Mm-hmm.
personally involved with the offensive line, coaching the offensive line during spring practice, and just the culture aspect as well is something that, Michigan has obviously sold to a lot of high level recruits. And I think Cantwell still kind of fits that. They're making him a priority for a reason. And so that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I think we'll
Mm-hmm.
know more in the summer.
All right. Speaking of monumentous NIL wins, you got Bryce Underwood on campus now. Did Cantwell get to run into Bryce Underwood while he was in Ann Arbor?
Yeah, definitely took some photos with each other. A little social media buzz there with Cantwell tweeting out number 1 and number 1. Obviously, Michigan spent big with Bryce Underwood last cycle. He was the number 1 overall player in America. Cantwell is the number 1 overall player in America this cycle as well. So, yeah, maybe Michigan can get the number 1 player in America in back-to-back cycles. But yeah, they spent time with each other. I think a lot of the high-end recruits have been really impressed with seeing Bryce Underwood throw so far during spring practice. And he's just such a big name, a guy that blue chip recruits are really familiar with through camps and 7-on-7 events, or just the name in general, I think brings even
Mm-hmm.
more buzz and clout to Michigan.
All right. Well, Cantwell is going to go on and take his spring visits, and he's going to take his official visit. So this story still has a couple chapters left to it. Let's talk about Carter Meadows. He's a five-star that we do not talk enough about on this channel. He was in Ann Arbor this week. Where do you think things stand with one of the best edge rushers in America when it comes to Michigan?
I think Michigan's right up there with Penn State. Ohio State is also in the mix there, South Carolina. But he's a really high academic kid, too. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
carries a 3.95 GPA at Gonzaga High School in Washington, D.C., which is one of the premier academic high schools in the eastern United States. So I think that the blend of elite edge production combined with elite academics makes Michigan a big contender in the race for Carter Meadows. Michigan won a recruitment like this last cycle in Andrew Babalola, who was a 5-star
Yeah.
offensive lineman and was a high academic kid. NIL was a little bit of a factor, but it more came down to football and academics. And it's the reason that Babalola picked Michigan, and he had Stanford there as a big finalist. Stanford was one time considered the leader for Babalola. So I think Carter Meadows kind of fits that profile of a high academic kid that really takes education seriously. So I don't think this is one that's going to be a bidding war or anything like that. Now, obviously, NIL can help, but I think there's definitely more to it with Carter Meadows. And this weekend gave him an opportunity to get a closer look at the academics, get a closer look at how Lou Esposito, Michigan's defensive line coach, works with the pass rushers, just taking a look at historical data of Michigan's development at the position. He has two teammates that are on Michigan's roster. Kainoa Winston, who just signed with Michigan last cycle, Evan Link, starting offensive lineman. So Gonzaga kids usually fit Michigan. Obviously, Meadows is a Gonzaga kid. And so, yeah, I think Michigan has really established itself as a major contender. And I actually got an opportunity to see Meadows play twice last year. I mean, he's 6'6.5", 225 pounds, great basketball player. Just a lot of potential, a lot of length there. I think would be a fantastic fit for Michigan's defensive scheme.
Yeah, what a monster. All right, Michigan fans, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're talking here with EJ Holland of the Wolverine. And over the weekend, I think it was on Friday, 5-star quarterback Ryder Lyons came out and said that he is Michigan's top target. One, do you believe that he is at the top of Michigan's QB board? And who else is on Michigan's QB board?
Yeah, so I do agree with Ryder Lyons. I think he is the number one quarterback target on the board, 5-star, number 10 overall recruit in the country per the industry ranking. I mean, just a really dynamic player. I had a chance to catch up with him at OT7, and that's exactly what he told me. He said, hey, look, Chip Lindsey, Michigan's new offensive coordinator, he came out to see me, came out again, brought Sharrone Moore, Michigan's head coach, and they made it clear to him, look, you're the guy this cycle. And, from everything I've heard, he is the guy. I think Ryder Lyons kind of fits a little bit of a JJ McCarthy mold, kind of similar build, similar escapability, athleticism, the ability to create in and around the pocket, elite arm talent. Definitely some differences with JJ as well, but I think he's that type of dynamic, exciting, really high ceiling type of player that they would love to come in and have follow under Bryce Underwood. He's the guy that is taking a mission, so he'll be gone for a year as part of the LDS mission. Yeah. And that means there's enough separation between him and Underwood where Underwood would be a junior by the time Lyons would come back from his mission. He'd probably need another year to readjust, so it'd be a great opportunity for him to learn under Underwood before Underwood departs, and then you can transition to Ryder Lyons. So kind of a perfect scenario there for Michigan, and that's really what they kind of see as the ideal circumstances, is having Bryce Underwood on the roster, obviously for 3 years, and then having Ryder Lyons learn from him for a year before segueing and being the guy. So I think Ryder Lyons is the clear number one. There are some other targets. Brady Smigel is set to make a visit this spring, but it's obviously trending to Washington. Matt Ponatoski is another name that they really like, but he could end up going the baseball route, is projected to be a high MLB draft pick. They're evaluating some others as well, like Oscar Rios, who's an on-300 quarterback out in California. But right now, they're kind of full steam ahead on Ryder Lyons.
All right, so we're coming off a huge week of visits. This week, lining up, seems like there's some more talent going to be in Ann Arbor. EJ, who are some of the most important visitors this week for Michigan? On3 is honored to announce the 10th and final stop of the Army National Guard Next Greatest Generation Tour at Fort Hill High School in Cumberland, Maryland. In partnership with the Army National Guard, we are proud to recognize Fort Hill High School as a Team of the Year, a program that has defined excellence, consistency, and championship culture. The Fort Hill Sentinels are the 2024 state champions, capping off a historic run with their 4th consecutive state title and their 9th in the last 11 years. In doing so, they became the only school in the MPSSAA history to complete a 4-peat not once, but twice, a remarkable feat that speaks to the sustained greatness of the program and the unwavering standard upheld by its players and coaches. Led by Coach Zach Alkire, Fort Hill's culture is built on toughness, discipline, and tradition, values that have turned the Sentinels into one of the most dominant high school football programs in the state's history. We are honored to celebrate the greatness today and proud to present the Next Greatest Generation Team of the Year award to Coach Alkire and the Fort Hill football program.
Yeah, so I mean, today on campus is Tyson Harley on 300 Edge, who is a teammate of Carter Meadows. You know, Gonzaga has 2 on 300 Edges on its team in Meadows and Harley. It would be great for Michigan to be able to get them to play together and team up again at the next level. You know, if you can get Harley in first or Meadows in first, they can obviously recruit the other. I think that would be a dynamic edge duo. You have Haven Finney coming in tomorrow, top 100 cornerback out of California, recently reclassified from 2027 to 2026, was a top performer at OT7 a week ago. Michigan has quickly worked its way into his top group. They'll have a chance to really impress on tomorrow's visit. Then later on, going into the weekend, you have top 100 running back Javian Osborne out of Texas, who has long been a priority for the Wolverines. Michigan has a lot of buzz in that recruitment. Notre Dame hosted him over the weekend, though, made a big move. So Michigan will have to, you know, kind of regain the momentum there. And I think they'll have a chance to do it as Osborne's slated to be on campus for 3 days. So a long time in Ann Arbor for him to bond with running backs coach Tony Alford and head coach Sharrone Moore and see a couple of spring practices. You have on 300 defensive back Jordan Thomas coming in as well. You know, he's a big priority in the secondary. He was just on campus right during the winter contact period, right before the dead period. So a very early February. I think February 1st was the last time he was on campus. So making yet another visit, Michigan in his top group, and Thomas looking to make a decision this spring. So this will be a critical visit in his recruitment. And, you know, one other to mention, top 100 defensive lineman, Damari Simeon, you know, on 3 has him ranked very high. He's long been a priority for Michigan along the defensive line as well. I think Michigan really needs to continue that trend of landing high-level defensive linemen, and Simeon, again, at the very top of the board. Michigan, Penn State, and a few others are high on his list. So another big weekend at Michigan, you know, another big week at Michigan. It's been very busy for the Wolverines on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, this is crazy. We're talking Michigan recruiting involved with, yet again, the #1 overall prospect in America. Michigan fans, chime in. How do you feel about the odds of landing Jackson Cantwell? Let us know. Comment section below.